Hello. I think we're good to go. I see the word live.
Wonderful. So, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. And thanks to everyone who's joining in, streaming in through either the Facebook or the YouTube link that was shared. I'm Dr. Minerva Romero Arenas. I'm an endocrine and general surgeon at Weill Cornell Medicine, and I work at a hospital called Brooklyn Methodist Hospital. I do general and endocrine surgery, and I do research and education with medical students and residents. I have been involved with the Latino Medical Student Association as a student and as a faculty advisor. I am a founding member of the Latino Surgical Society, and it's a pleasure to be here as a longtime mentor of the Tour for Diversity in Medicine.
And my name is Dr. Levinani. I am an emergency medicine physician. I live and work out of the Nashville area. I am the medical director and the chief of staff / president of staff, whichever term you prefer, of TriStar North Crescent Medical Center. I am also a longtime mentor of Tour for Diversity, which I love. I also sit as one of the professional board members of SNMA at this time. So very happy to be pulling double duties here. And I know this is a topic a lot of people are excited about. So if you're watching live, we are watching the comments. Please feel free to drop comments. We will answer them as soon as possible. Hello, Layla. And for anyone who's watching this later, obviously you can't comment if you're watching this on the recorded channel, but you can hit us up on our social media down there. That is my Instagram handle at T4D _ Dr. Nani. And I've always pronounced it Minerves, but I'm not sure there's another way. Oh, you're muted, Minerves.
That's the right pronunciation, and it's the same handle on both Instagram and Twitter.
All right. So you guys aren't here to just hear our Instagram handles. You guys are here and ready to get started and learn all about the match process and the SOAP process. We are making sure we're going to touch on both because we don't want just bad stuff to happen. We want good stuff to happen as well. So our slides are being uploaded now, and then we're going to hop right in it. As my mother said, the devil tried but failed, trying to kick us off with technical difficulties, but we're still getting started right on time. As this is processing again, please feel free to leave comments. All comments that are appropriate will be monitored by our wizard in the background, and then will be put on the screen, and then we will answer them live. So we'll go on to our next slide, and Dr. Romero Arenas is all on you.
So today we're going to tackle a heavy agenda. We're going to talk about how to prepare your rank list, what are the tips for medical students, and we'll share a little bit of thoughts from the program side about how they think about the match process and the rank list. We're also going to talk about how to prepare for the SOAP during that week of match week. And remember that it's always important to plan for the best. To hope for the best and prepare for the worst. And so you never want to be caught, as we say, with your pants down. You always want to have a plan A, B, C, and D. And so we'll try to get through all of these points today. So in terms of preparing your rank list, there's a few really key points. You want to know that list goes through the National Residency Matching Program. The programs can only rank you if you interviewed at that program. So there is no way that you can rank a program that you did not interview at. That is really important because it just simply will not work. And as you drop programs in order, remember that this match algorithm will pair you in the order that you are most likely to rank with the program. The fees for the NRMP or the match are separate from your application that went into ARIS. And so remember that by this point, you should have registered for both. For any foreign medical graduates, international medical graduates, at this point, you should also have your ECFMG, but remember that is a part of the process. Now, the rank list has to be certified. It has to be certified in order for it to go in. You can change it, you can undo it, but in order for you to go into the match, you must have not just submitted a list, but certified it. Remember that this is a binding agreement and that certification is really important. Now, we'll talk a little bit about the match, but essentially, it's actually a Nobel Prize winning algorithm that helps pair you with your top choices to a program that wants you the most. The longer the rank list, the higher the chance of matching. That kind of makes sense intuitively, but we know from looking at prior classes that have gone through the match process that list of programs is really important. Obviously, that's contingent on the number of interviews that you had, but you don't want to shortchange yourself in terms of listing a limited number of programs. If you interviewed at 10, 15, 20 programs, you really want to try and rank the more you can that you would be willing to work at. Currently, there are definitely more applicants than residency training positions available. And then, of course, as you all know, there are fees incurred after 20 programs. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the match results are binding. And so if you do match at a program, you are technically legally bound to go and train there for that first year. We should asterisk that a little bit because people have been known to get out of that with the aid of lawyers and other specific circumstances where perhaps they may have to postpone their residency. But in general, it's really considered as a matching agreement, a binding agreement.
Really want to highlight that there. I know sometimes we see athletes try to break contracts from where they're drafted, but they have a lot of money and a lot of backing. So if you want to take on those programs and break those binding match results, then that is on you. As Dr. Romero Arenas has said, it has been done. It has been done before, but you must make sure you have the spirit and are willing to do that.
So we'll point you to a few resources. The NRMP has put together several really good videos that help explain the process. If you go to the website, nrmp.org, you can look at the videos for the intro to the match. There's a video specifically explaining how it works, and it walks you through the process of having a set of students who list their rank order list and how the hospitals select them. And there's definitely that video on the main page. So you want to try to go through that. You still have a few days before the deadline. And so take the time to make sure that you understood the process before you submit that list. And you still have time to make any changes if you absolutely need to.
So looking at this, we were just talking a little bit earlier about applications and applicants and how there's more applicants than programs. And then people always ask us, what's the magic number? How many should I rank? And you guys have a lot of mentors, a lot of people you're talking to. This, however, is straight direct from the NRMP website. This is for all applicants, all right? The data before you is for all applicants. Fourth year MD students, fourth year DO students, students who didn't match last year, IMGs, everyone who entered the match. This is the data for them. You can see throughout the years. Let's obviously focus on 2022. The number of people that matched were 32,305. That's 80.6% of the people who matched, who entered the match matched. That may be scary to some people sitting there, especially you fourth years. Lower your heart rate. For fourth years, MDs and DOs both were in the 90s. So obviously you have a very good chance, 9 out of 10 chance of matching if you enter the match. Also, the number next to it, the average length of ROLs, you can think of as rank lists. In 2022, it's true. The number of rank spots have been going up. So the people who matched in 2022, they each on average had a rank list that was about 12 and a half, which you can't do half a program. So we'll just round to 13, 13 programs long, 12 to 13 programs long. I was always told, because I matched back in 2012, that the magic number was 10. If you have 10 programs, you have a 90% likelihood of matching. And that held true for a long time. And we all know what happened in 2020 with COVID. People started interviewing more, so rank lists on average got longer. Most of us in academia and in medicine as mentors do believe that number 10 still holds, but I don't want to lie about the data. It says 12 to 13. For those who are thinking, man, should I be worried? I don't know. How do I know if I should prep for the SOAP? We can look at the next column, unmatched applicants. Again, only less than 20% of people are unmatched. Their average rank list was 4.42, so we'll round down to 4. If you are looking at your rank list right now, your number of interviews, and it was 4 or less, you should really be paying attention moving forward here. You should also know it's not mandatory. These are all averages. But this is definitely where you need to be if your rank list is on the shorter end. So how to prepare a rank list? Well, often goes into a student rank list because they are very different from a program rank list. Number one is always the same: location, location, location. Some people like their weather. Some people want their club. Some people want to be near family. Some people want to have a large airport. Some people need sports in their life year round. So they need to be in a city that has a basketball team, baseball team, and football team. If you're one of those people, that's how you're often going to rank your list. A lot of people are looking for their future and want to be a place where their future, either matching with someone else, has a high likelihood. So that will be where location will play a point. We often see that people often do care about program perception / brand to others. And what that means is people care about the name, right? There are a lot of people on the tour who went to Duke University. It's a great school, not shading Duke at all. But Duke is a name. So people will love and want to go to Duke EM. I don't know where Duke EM is ranked amongst all the EM programs, but it's Duke. So who cares? So people think about that a lot when they're coming up with their programs. I personally don't think that truly matters. We all have these same obligations when we're training our residents to make the best residents, but people want that brand recognition. And then most importantly, we've seen a big change in student rank lists on this last point, which I must say I'm personally proud of, is do I fit in? Programs and residency in general is a 3 to 5 to 7 year, depending on your specialty, struggle. You want to make sure you fit in. Can you sit next to your attendings and your co-residents at 2 o'clock in the morning? Will they have your back? If Beyonce's coming into town, will they go on tickets with you? That's where you want to fit in. That's where you want to be. And people are really taking a look in that. During interviews now, we're hearing a lot of people outwardly asking DEI questions from the student standpoint. And that's important. So we want to make sure everyone fits in where they go, and that should be a big part of your rank list.
And I want to jump in with that, Dr. Anani, because I think that's a really important aspect. Yes, absolutely. We are looking to get you a job, and it is really important to have a long rank list. That being said, if you definitely have a negative feeling, if you definitely feel like you cannot spend 3 to 5 to 7 years of your life around the people that you met or in the town that you maybe researched or visited since the virtual interviews, it is really important that you be honest with yourself about that. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means if you end up having to go through so.
Those top 3 things, the obvious things that everyone does. So we want to make sure we go over what's often forgotten. 1, salary after your first year. Ask that question. And if you didn't ask that question when you're on the interview trail, go back and ask it now. A lot of us don't have any money in med school. So that salary for that first year looks really big, but you have to remember you're going to live in that same place moving forward. Inflation happens just about every year, usually around 2 to 4%. And if your program is not increasing your salary to that mind frame, you may fall behind. Bills may get harder. It may be harder to live in general. So you really want to make sure you understand how much I'm going to get paid after the first year. Vacation/schedule request. Very important. All right. I have gone through residency and I have my wife who went through residency and two of her siblings. When you're planning Christmas, it's really hard. Some residencies do, oh, you get the day before Christmas, Christmas, and the day after, and that's one block. Some residencies are, no, you get the whole week through Christmas off and into New Year's. Some people have blocks. You either get Thanksgiving off, Christmas off, or New Year's off, and you got to pick one. Those are all very, very important. And oftentimes things we don't think about because we assume we're going to get holidays off or everyone's going to like that. But that's not true. And as a reminder, yes, all audience people, you can enter questions in the chat. If you want to know how to ask about what type of schedule requests to do and things like that, make sure to put them in the comments section and they will come forward on our screen. Also, double check how support is given. Multiple types of support, not just failing a test, but did you ask, if you're thinking about that, maternity/paternity leave questions? Did you ask disability questions? Did you ask religious questions? Life does not stop in residency. Things happen both good and bad. What type of support does your program offer you and have in place for you? And last but not least, again, coming back to money, CME/book funds. Okay. CME can be used for a lot of things. It stands for continuing medical education, if people don't know. And every program has a set amount of funds per resident to use every year to buy books. Some programs let you buy stethoscopes. Some programs let you buy electronics, such as new iPads and headphones. But some programs don't. So if you're looking for that new iPhone this Christmas and you want to use your CME money, make sure your program will actually allow it. Also, you can use CME money to go to AMEC if you want to present sometimes, right? So you're planning your intern year, you want to come back to AMEC next year, wink, wink, won't say where it is, come to AMEC and find out. You may want to use your CME money. So that's a very important question to ask. All right. And then when you're drafting your list, make sure to weigh what matters to you. So we went over about 6 different things. If location matters the most, that should have the most weight. You can't say location is equal to CME money if you truly don't care about your CME money. Consider using a pro con list or Excel. That's really a big help for a lot of people. I personally use Excel and you can weigh everything. Usually when people are going through their rank, top 5 rankings usually are pretty easy, right? Everyone probably went about through 10 interviews. You can probably list the 5 you really care about. It's the next 5 where the differences get a lot smaller and it's a lot harder to figure out 6, 7, 8. Again, it's been mentioned, we'll mention again. Leave a program off your rank list if you prefer SOAP over matching there. So in an alternate universe, if you made it down to number 15 on your rank list and you decide to leave that off and you just put in 14 and you knew that program 15 went unmatched, would you have said, you know what, that's fine, I'm not applying there? Even though I could have matched there if I had ranked them, I prefer the SOAP over that program. You have to have that conversation with yourself. That's a very big conversation, but just know the SOAP process and all the feelings that come with it can be very heavy. So make sure you do not take that decision lightly. And finally, biggest piece of advice, do not rank your rank list based on what you think the program thinks. Like, oh, they really like me, I'm going to match they're going to rank me 1. I have to rank them 1, 2. Nope. You rank where you want to go. If they're going to rank you 1 no matter what, and you rank them 3, that's fine. That means that position will be held for you. If you prefer 1 and 2, there's a chance you may go there first. You will have no clue where you fell on their rank list once you match at that program. All you will know is that you matched. So make sure you do it for you, not for what you think the program wants. I will pass it back to my colleague to take it on from here.
All right. So remember that we talked about the importance of certifying your list early. You can always change it, but you must certify it before the deadline of March 1st. As you guys know very well, sometimes these websites can get a little bit overwhelmed. So don't wait until the 5-10 minutes right before, and really resist the urge to make a last minute change out of getting cold feet. You've been spending so much time thinking about this, weighing your options. You want to try to avoid sabotaging something because of a last minute urge. That being said, be honest with yourself And if you really think you have to, go in and make a change, then do so. Remember that the match results are based on your preference. And as we've stressed many times, it's really important that you rank the program that you want to go to the most. It's better to be lucky, and you never know what kind of great impression you may have left on a program, and they're willing to take that chance on you. I think touching base with programs can be helpful. Certainly, it won't hurt you if you send thank you notes, if you write the note to express your interest. The main point is that if you are truly interested, then I would not send more than maybe 3 notes to your top programs. Remember that you cannot technically tell a program what order you're going to rank them in, but you can express that you're highly interested. And I would recommend listing out some of the things that attracted you to that specific program and letting them know that you would be very happy to train with them. Remember that the program director does have the final say. Many times, program directors do take into account all of the interviewer commentary, all of the input from the residents that you may have met on social events the night before. And if you interviewed with any residents, then they are also certainly part of the process. But ultimately, the program director does have the final say. And also, don't forget or overlook the program coordinators, who are really the backbone of every residency program. And they tend to have significant input when you get on their bad side. So don't forget to always be polite and to be really sincere in how you treat those folks, because they will blacklist you, so to speak, if you get on their bad side. Many programs do review these lists. However, all of that information must remain confidential, and faculty and residents are really not allowed to contact any candidates once the rank lists are out and up until match day. So what are programs looking for? Classically, we used to say they're looking for the person who's going to do well on their in-service exam, or what we call the in-training exam. They're looking for that because that is likely a predictor that you will pass your specialty board exams. They're looking for someone who's going to come in and is looking to work and learn and not cause waves, not cause issues in the program. They want, if you are someone who will bring notoriety to the program, certainly there are programs that have been able to express what are the specific qualities that they are looking for in residents. And of course, I think this is really important in my role as a surgeon. You need to pass that 2 a.m. test. Can I really talk to you, listen to you, make sense of what you're telling me at 2 a.m. when my cortisol level is going to be the lowest and I am exhausted from having been up, maybe operating throughout the day? It's really a critical part, just because we spend so much time together in residency. And as faculty, we also spend a lot of time interacting with the residents. So don't forget about really special cases. If you're in a couples match, there are specific resources for you to learn more about couples match. For couples match, you also want to really be mindful of going through both of your lists, being honest about where you want to go, where you don't want to go. Location may not necessarily be a deal breaker. It can be really important for some people, but there are many, many, many residents who have done residencies in different cities, in different states, and they have gotten through it. So be mindful that it is possible. You should have a longer list for both candidates, and then know that you are going to submit an independent list. You will not submit a list of both people. However, your list does allow you for a do not match. What that means is that if one person, for example, gets into their dream program and the second person perhaps doesn't have a available program in that city or in that state, but you want to take your chances, um, for example, to get a spot in the soap, then that would be a rank list order that you would place as do not match. But you do have to list individual list rank order list for yourself. IMGs, again, don't forget that you do need that certificate. And similarly, do consider longer lists. At this point, obviously, you have already considered the possibility of categorical versus preliminary residency slots. And so there is also a video on NRMP that is available specifically for IMGs.
And before we move on, as someone who did the couples match, I do want to highlight those two important bullet points. Location does not matter, okay? If one person interviews in Atlanta and the other person wants to rank New York their number one, you guys can make as your couples list number one, match Atlanta, match New York. That's fine. The computer system does not care about the cities. It cares about what you guys rank in what order. And that last point, lock in who is the don't match candidate. I was the don't match candidate in my couple. What that means is once we exhausted our list of every pairing we could possibly do, we decided it was not useful for both of us to go down with the ship in the worst case scenario. So then we ranked her list all over again, and then I slotted in don't match, don't match, don't match for each one. So again, that's how your list can get a whole lot longer. But again, you have to make that decision of, are we both going down with the ship, or is it just one person will go on and finish? It's very important to do that, so consider that now. All right. So time to get into the soap. We're about the halfway point, so this is where it's important and hopefully where people's ears are kind of perking up again. If you have not learned or heard about the soap, it is a process that happens after the match, where people start to interview one-on-one with programs in order to fill those unfilled spots. Again, let's go back to the data. This is straight from the NRMP. SOAP applicants accepting positions by type, you can see there from 2021 to 2022. For USMD schools, there were 2,284 eligible applicants that entered the SOAP, 911 accepted positions in 2022. So as you can see, you can go through all different categories, but the biggest thing is at the bottom. 12,836 people entered the SOAP. There were only 2,111 positions that were accepted. If you want to beat out that 20% of people, you want to be in that top 20% that gets a spot if you are in the SOAP. Hopefully, if you follow our tips, you will make it there and be in that spot. So here we go, moving forward. First off, the SOAP starts before that day. If you start getting everything together on SOAP day, you're already behind the 8 ball. So before March 13th, when that text, whether or not you matched or didn't match, comes out, you need to take an introspective look. Everybody listening to this, again, go back to that earlier slide. Did you only interview at 3 places? You should be prepping for the SOAP. Even if you got 10, you can at least lightheartedly prep for the SOAP. At least think about it. Don't just pretend it's not going to happen. First and foremost, while you're in this introspective phase, start to prepare a backup specialty / options. All right. I'm not saying any specialty is a backup out there. They're all useful in their own right. But you need to know, hey, if I didn't match, what would I want to do? Kind of like that age-old question. If you didn't get into med school, what would you do? You need to be ready. If you think you do have a high likelihood of being in the SOAP and, you think it may be embarrassing, you don't have to go and talk to people about writing a letter for you early, but at least identify who you're going to go to, right? So if you're going to enter the SOAP and you're at Vanderbilt, you're like, well, I know Dr. Uchenna Anani. She's really nice. I think that's the first person I'm going to hit up if I have to SOAP. Make your list of 2 or 3 people already so you can identify them early and reach out to them early so they can start working on those letters. That is part of your application if you have to switch specialties. Also important, identify who your team is going to be. All right. This is a process you should try not to do by yourself. So you're probably going to want one person you cry to. You're going to want one person who can always go and get you food and drinks. Again, you don't want a letter writing person, not only letters to programs like, dear program, I really like you, but also letter writing, maybe to ask people again, can you write a letter for me? A list search person. I know you're not supposed to share the SOAP list with those who are not in the SOAP. That's for the whole thing. But if you just need someone to look over your shoulder and double check some things, or they heard about a program, they can be your list search person, so on and so forth. Whatever you need during that week and during that time, identify it early, contact those people early, and say, hey, look, if you get that sad faced emoji, come over, bring food, and then get to work. And then overall, just double check right now all of your ERAS information. Is your name spelled correct? Where you want to go? What programs you apply to? All of those things. Make sure you have those all ready to go. So on March 13th this year, 2023, notifications come out by 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then access to the list happens at that same time. So you'll get that vibration via phone. If you get email to your phone saying if you did or did not enter the SOAP or match or get the enter the SOAP. If you have to enter the SOAP, you will get access to that list at that same time. This is where you activate your team. Send out the mass text message in the chat group, whatever you have to do, send it to them. Notify at least one person within your school. Again, I know this may seem very embarrassing and think you can do it all by yourself, but your school is not your enemy here. Your school can help you with resources, help you reach out to certain attendings, especially if they're gone or away in other places. So at least one person inside your school in a staff or faculty role should know about your situation. My ERAS opens at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, you got 1 hour to do all of those things. You should meet up with your team. I usually say meet up at the school, but you can do that as best as you can. Scour the list, again, with the asterisk. We're not telling you to break the rules, and share the list with them ahead of time. But again, just say, hey, have you heard of this program? Or if they look over your shoulder, that's technically okay. And then you have to determine your next move by 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you got 1 hour to activate your team. You got about 3 hours to scour the list. And then you get to assign letters and needs by 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you said, okay, we scoured the list, we've done all these things, I'm going to apply to Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia. Then you need to say, hey, Dr. So-and-so, I need you to write me a letter for Alabama, so-and-so for Georgia, so-and-so by this. Notify all those people by 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because they're going to go home and they're not going to answer their email after 5 p.m. Make sure they're ready.
And I want to jump in and just say that the schools are really invested in making sure that every graduating student does find a match. And so we can't stress enough the importance of not thinking about your school as the enemy or that they're going to judge you. They actually are really interested in helping you be successful. And so you may want to even look through your emails. I'm sure you're not touching your school email right now, but a lot of times the deans of the schools, the deans of the faculty student affairs, they tend to be the folks that reach out to you. And they've probably been walking you through the process. Some schools actually have set up specific mentors per specialty that will help any candidates that may go unmatched. I know I personally have served in this role in the past. And so look for all the resources. Look for people like our Tour for Diversity mentors who are committed to helping students in tough positions. And so reach out, particularly if you think you might be at risk. Reach out in advance and see if we can get to know you a little bit better. And that way we can also not be last minute part of the process.
Agreed. Again, identify people early because if you're doing it that week of, you're losing time. So after March 13th, it's now the next day, March 14th at 7:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can assign your applications to the program because at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, programs can start reviewing applicants and reaching out / doing some soft interviews at that time. So again, you've had about less than 24 hours because you found out at 10 a.m. the day before to start assigning programs and applications to programs. You want to have them in place so when they start reviewing, they're downloading yours right off the bat. At 11:30 on the 14th, programs can start building their rank list. So again, they've gone through a bunch of applications. Most programs are not looking to fill 10 spots. they're looking to fill 1 to 2. 3 is considered crazy. So they, if they only need to fill 2 spots, they're probably only going to reach out to probably 5 to 10 people initially anyways, and not go past that. So that's why in 3.5 hours, they can start building their list. All day on the 15th, people can continue to apply as that time goes by. And then on the 16th, you wake up, make sure your team is ready, that they're in place, because now things get a little crazy and hectic. At 9 a.m. on the 16th Eastern Standard Time, SOAP offers first round start to come out. At 11 a.m., the round ends and you can apply again. So during this time, you cannot apply to any more programs. You're done. The ranks start coming out at 9 a.m. People start getting their offers, accepting, yay, I'm in the SOAP, I'm out. So that program that had to only match 1, they may have to match none. They may be out of it now. The program that had to match 3 may still need to match 3 all over again. So then at 11 a.m., when the round ends, you can go back to apply to programs again. At 12 p.m., the next wave goes out. Round 2 starts. Round 2 ends by 2 p.m. And then you can go and sign more and apply more. You will see this is a rigorous, repetitive process, not only through the 16th, throughout the entire day, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Again, third round ends. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., fourth round ends. And at 9 p.m. on the 16th, SOAP ends. And the reason we took that time to list all of those times, you can see how repetitive and grueling it is if you have to make it to round 5 over and over and over again. And I cannot reiterate this. If you have no team, you're sitting there doing this in your own house by yourself. Did you eat in those 8 hours? Did you drink? What if you need to take a nap? Like, this is where people can help you do things like, hey, rest up, go lay down. I'll scour your email. I'll come get you if something comes up. This is what you need people for. And then again, at 9 p.m. on the 16th, the list of open programs that are unmatched becomes open to everybody. People who are not even in the SOAP. So there usually are programs left over at this point, but now they're open to the masses. So the difficulty here is you're going up against everyone. And sometimes these programs are open for a reason. They decide they don't want to fill it all of a sudden. So it can be very difficult. So I'll pass it to my colleague and let her wrap up our top 5 tips.
Yeah, so thanks so much for going through that. And as you were discussing that, I just thought, I would hate to be in that process. We used to call it the scramble. And even back then, it was very painful. But as much as I would hate to be in the SOAP, it does sound a lot more organized. So remember that the best stories for success really start before March 1st, but you're not too late to find your people, to find your tribe, to find your team, and to really have these candid conversations about the reality of where you think you're going to match, where you think you might need help. Really rely on that team to offload any unnecessary tasks. And as Dr. Anani mentioned, to really try and make the best of the situation so that you can get through it with a cool, level head. Your school's not your enemy. Use them. Find out who those folks will be in the rare event that you need to be using them to help you get through the SOAP process. You really technically cannot share the SOAP list, but you can discuss possibilities with your mentors. And you get a total of 45 applications for the entire SOAP. So just keep that number in mind if you do end up going through the process. Don't forget that the most important part is to celebrate on March 17th, no matter the outcome. You should be really proud of yourself for getting through medical school, for graduating. You've put in a tremendous amount of work over the last 4 years, and you really got to celebrate yourself. You will figure it out. Whether you think you are not going to like your program, whether you think your life is over, or whether you're really excited about the place that you're going to end up in, you really want to take this time to celebrate your efforts and all the support that your family and friends have provided you. And so with that, we are going to go ahead and take a couple of questions from the audience. I do see that we have a comment box if you if you want to submit those. We can go ahead and take any questions that you may have. I want to ask Dr. Anani, while we're doing that, is if you can share with us a little bit about how grueling that those conversations were in terms of the do not match process for a couple.
Oh yeah, the one thing we like here at the Tour for Diversity is telling our story. So I'll definitely tell mine. Hopefully this will give people time to chat in there or put comments in the comment box. We definitely want to answer all of your questions. I matched again in 2012. I wanted to go into emergency medicine, but at that time I did not pass step 1. I did pass step 2, both of them because we had to take both barely, but I knew I was going into a competitive specialty. I was not AOA. I had no fancy accolades when it came to the academic side. I did have some pretty good personal sides and leadership skills. I was on the SNMA board, held 2 national positions. I was on the student council president for my school.
I think we're losing you, Dr. Anani. So I am going to chime in that I also was in the couples match at the time that I was through the match process, and it
with ourselves. So I decided.
We lost you for a second, for maybe about 30 seconds.
Got it. I'll back up. My significant other, Dr. Uchenna Nani, did pediatrics. She was AOA. She wanted to go neonatology. She was like top 10% of our class. All of those wonderful academic accolades. So it was obvious in our couple, academically, she was going to match probably no matter what. I was the anchor here, and I did not want to be the anchor that sunk our relationship. So I made sure to say, hey, after we rank all of our programs, I only had 7 interviews and she had 15, nearly 20. After we ranked all of our various options and I matched my 7 with all of her 15 as many times as I could, I basically said, hey, I'm the rank do not match after this. And then she ranked her list right afterwards. And that's what we did. And look, we have some comments now.
Yeah, so there are a couple of really great questions now. So we mentioned that there are 45 spots for the SOAP applications. Are the applicants supposed to apply to 45 right off the bat, or do they hold applications for each round?
So I will say specifically from the EM standpoint, you probably won't see 45 whole programs. That's a lot. In fact, I can't think of, outside of maybe some prelim spots, 45 is going to be really hard to go in one round. What you'll probably end up doing is all for one specialty in one round, and then maybe a few more in the next rounds if you can get any interviews, and then consider switching specialties by those 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds. Because again, 45 is a rather large number. You're probably not going to use them all.
Yeah, and I would say that you're unlikely to see 45 slots for any specialty. You're not going to have time to go through 45 interviews either. But I guess that being said, I don't think you're restricted, meaning I don't think you have 45 total for the entire process. If that's what we're interpreting. 45 total for the entire process. And so if there are 5 rounds, theoretically, you could be spending about 9 applications per round. I would say maybe front load them in the 1st and 2nd round. I would also say that if you're someone who is applying in a competitive specialty, you want to talk about where you want to go, but also what are alternative options, such as doing research years, such as doing transitional years, and then reapplying. And so we'll leave that. There's a couple of additional questions. Somebody asked, should we rank preliminary spots in the rank order list, or should we target those in the SOAP? I'm going to answer this one first to say that you can only list preliminary positions if you applied for a preliminary position to those programs in the match process. So if you submitted an application through a preliminary in the ARAS applications, and then you are able to list them in the match. Once you go through the match process, and if you are in the SOAP, then you can apply to both categorical and preliminary positions. But before that, you can only apply to preliminary positions if you actually listed them to begin with for the ARAS sort of jumping into an RMP. And so for IMGs, that I think that's the same rules apply. Somebody else asked, what's a good ways to reach out for some advice? And I will share with you that my email is just like you see in my title on the chat, minervis@gmail.com. Dr. Anani, if you want to go ahead and share your email, or there's actually a tour email.
There is info@tourfordiversity.org. We'll get you our general one. If you want to email me directly at the tour, it's love@tourfordiversity.org, and it's the number 4, not FOR. And if that's really hard to remember, again, our IG handles are both right there. I answer all DMs all the time. You can also go and look up the Tour for Diversity directly and go to our IG page there. If you even DM the IG page, it will connect you with us as needed. So if you can't remember anything, just remember, Tour for Diversity, and you will get to us eventually. We have done everything for the tour, from review personal statements down to rank list and just simple conversations if needed. So reach out.
And we have a whole crew of mentors. So if you do email the info email at Tour for Diversity in Medicine, you will either get one of us, or you might actually be paired up to a person who's actually in your specific specialty that you're applying to, because our mentors do span many different specialties. We do have another question, and that was, I did also couples match, and I would say that I think what I was going to share had to do just with, the importance of having these candid conversations like Dr. Anani shared, but really, prioritizing things like, how are you even going to manage living in different cities? How are you going to manage being away from home? Things in terms of, being away while you're in training, but perhaps coming back home, versus staying home while you're in training and then going away for your job. Or maybe you're someone who just really wants to stay home for all of it. And so having a lot of these conversations is really important. I did successfully match when I was back in that process. And my couples match partner at the time also did ultimately match.
Also, don't think small, think big. Where me and my partner matched, she matched at University of Michigan, and I matched at Central Michigan University, or what's now known as Central Michigan University. They're an hour and a half apart, but we lived right in the middle, 45 minutes. And that was our kind of monitor whenever we made our rank list was, all right, we're going to interview at places that can be 90 minutes apart. That way we only each have to drive 45 minutes each way.
Yeah, I think all of those details are critical. And if you're not in the couples match, it's also critical to have these conversations with your family, with a significant other, because obviously your place, your position will also have an impact on them and their travel and how you spend time, your limited free time with them during residency. There's another question in the chat, and that was if applying to multiple specialties during the SOAP. And Dr. Anani, I'm gonna let you take this one first.
Yes. If you want to get a position, if you want to have a job, the answer is yes. However, again, I caution people on getting a job thinking they're going to springboard. I know I've definitely talked to students before. It's like, yeah, I'm going to apply for this OB job, and then I'm going to go to general surgery. I'm going to apply to general surgery next year. It may not be that easy. So if you're going to apply to multiple specialties, make sure you do so in a program that you will feel comfortable in, no matter what, if you're thinking about completing that. I know for me, I didn't have to do the SOAP, but even in the regular match, EM and PEDS were my two things I knew I could do going into the match, no matter what. So their rank list comes out. You're going to see there's usually one specialty that has 20 plus openings, and the specialty you want may have one. I think I've seen derm in the last 10 years twice, not fully matched. So that's what you were going for. You may have to, and there's one derm position left. Yeah, you can rank derm in the SOAP, but you're probably going to need to attach something else.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because remember that these programs are really looking for someone who is going to come in and work and fit into their program. And so programs are actually really disappointed when they also don't match all their spots and have to go into the SOAP. But we are very thankful when we do find good people to join the program. I would say that in terms of applying to multiple specialties, you've probably gone through a lot of that now, because if you are someone who's applying to multiple specialties, maybe you're looking at it more in the sense of, I would like to deliver babies, and I could do that if I go into OB/GYN, or if I do family medicine and potentially do a fellowship in obstetrics, which is one of the paths. Or maybe you're really interested in maybe spine surgery, and you can do that from both orthopedics and neurosurgery. Or maybe you're somebody who's interested in a variety of specialties that you can get to from internal medicine or from family medicine. There's a few different ways for surgical specialties that you can get to if you do transitional years. And so I would say, don't think about it being as an end all, but you want to, again, this is why building your team is important, and having people that are going to help you be creative about how to ultimately still meet your goals. Somebody had another question that they said, it decreases your chance. If I match into a transitional year, is it possible to find a PGY2, or should I repeat a PGY1? And I will say that both of those are options, and it depends on your specialty. There are many things that change, and for whatever reason, sometimes people do leave their programs. A lot of times those positions will be positions that are that go in what we call outside the match. For example, in surgery, there is a website for the Association of Program Directors in Surgery, and they list any positions that come up like that, where people maybe departed the program, and there's PGY2, PGY3 spots. Those get listed on that website. But know that if you go into a prelim year, a transitional year, and you're trying to get into something else, you're going to essentially have to turn right back around and apply the following fall. And so it is important to sort of, one, celebrate on match day, take some time off, and then come back and regroup as you're getting closer to your move, to preparing, because you know that application cycle will open up again come September.
And there are, on that lines, easier things to transition to. If you want to go from prelim to PGY2, right? You did a prelim internal medicine year, and you want to go be a surgery PGY2 because the second year surgery spot opened up, that's probably going to be a little difficult. and that surgery spot may be like, well, you've done no surgery for the last year, versus you did a prelim IM spot and you want to go to family. They're like, yeah, they can count everything from that first year. Again, prelim internal medicine spot to like pediatrics, you didn't see that many kids. You didn't see any kids whatsoever. So that's going to be harder. So you can find those PGY 2 years after you do a transitional. Just make sure it's kind of within what you went into. And I think we also highlighted on Priscilla's second point. I think that person was trying to tell you, if you don't mind putting it on the screen, the comment, someone had commented to me that they feel it decreases chances of getting a position if you apply to multiple in the SOAP. I think what that person meant is probably like if you apply and get pulled in 2 different directions. So again, let's say there's 10 OB spots that are open to SOAP and there's 10 EM spots, but you really want to do OB. Yeah, you should focus on those 10 in the first couple of rounds. You don't have to go OB and EM. But if you, again, only have 1 OB spot and 10 EM spots, you can probably apply to both in that first round. Your chances are not going to get decreased. In fact, you probably limited your chances if you just applied to 1 OB spot and then left all those EM ones sitting there waiting for round 2. They may be gone. So again, you want to balance out what you really want to do. So again, you have about an average of 10 per round, just about. So if there's 10 in the specialty you want, yeah, go for those 10 first. But there's only 3. Why would you leave 7 spots open?
Yeah, and I have seen people be really creative about how they maneuver those years. I've seen people take a gap year actually between their intern year and whatever categorical spot they ultimately match at. For example, people who match into anesthesiology or radiology, where there is a requirement for a separate intern year. If you do a year now and then in the match process you apply, remember that you're applying for a categorical position 2 years down the line. And so the people have gotten really creative around how to maneuver those options. And so it's important to sort of talk about all of the possibilities, like we said, plans A through C with your team. So, Dr. Anani, I feel like we're very close to time. And so if we don't have any additional questions, I'll let you close us out.
All right. Thank you for connecting with us. Again, you have us mentors from Mentor for Diversity. We love working each year with LMSA and SNMA on this Road to Residency project. We really wanted to do this talk earlier this year before the match. So again, take this. It's recorded. It'll be up on the SNMA YouTube page and also on the Facebook page. And we'll make sure to get over to LMSA as well. Send it to all of your friends. Even if they don't watch it, make sure they have it in their inbox. You don't know what's going to happen on that week of March 13th. Anything's possible. Tears will be shed for some, but mostly joy. So have fun. Have a safe match week. We are here for you at Tour for Diversity at all of those different things. And we truly believe representation matters, and we want you to represent us. So reach out to us, and good luck to everybody in the match process. Thank you.